So I'm not gonna front and act like I'm this guy because he might be just this more place more dates guy, might be a health enthusiast, a fitness enthusiast, or he might be a got his credits as a nutritionist. I think this guy, I like his content, but I had to make a small comment on this. So I wanted to find where he said this. So give me 1 sec.
So wait, if you don't know, I probably should have said my name. Hyperkalemia, if you don't know, is defined as a serum or plasma potassium level above the upper limits of normal. So this would be like on your blood work, for example, you would see a potassium level greater than 5 to 5.5. And mild hyperkalemia is usually asymptomatic, but high potassium levels can cause cardiac arrhythmias, muscle weakness, paralysis, and obviously there is some level whereby even if you haven't gotten to the point where you literally have an arrhythmia or blatant muscle weakness, like there's a spectrum by which your electrolyte balance would not be supporting adequate function, performance, hydration, etc. So it's not like there's a threshold by boom, all of a sudden now you're at like muscle weakness territory and everything below that you were fine. Like there's a spectrum by which the higher the imbalances of potassium relative to actual sodium content and the other electrolytes, like the less favorable things are going to be from a fluid dynamics perspective. So getting back to the case report, he knows his potassium levels have ranged from 5 to 6.1. He has been followed by a community nephrologist since the abnormality was first noted on a routine chemistry panel 5 years ago.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut him off because information is information. Information curated by other professionals is very important. But I'm glad he gave this definition of what hypochloremia is. Hypochloremia is. Because he used studies from rare cases in which people using potassium salt that's orally as a substitute for their blood pressure or as a diabetic versus sodium like table salt or sodium like table salt and forms of sodium like sodium chloride that is found in like energy drinks and stuff like that. And so his criticism toward this prime drink is that if you advertise this prime drink to people like high performing athletes or even just those who are low performing athletes or low performing at all like children, even though children, I guess they are high performing, just not professionally or seriously or competitively, he's saying that's a problem. And partially, I like to say that it's true. I like to say he is speaking facts on that. But my point is that he's using these rare cases to prove that Prime is not a good energy drink. And he is suggesting that real athletes shouldn't use this because there are better alternatives. He is also stating that if they would use this regularly, they should bring their own sodium with them. So a salt packet. I guess that is it. Isn't sodium chloride? Yep, yes it is. NaCl. Sodium chloride is table salt. So they should bring a salt packet with them because if they keep drinking this alternative that is prime, that doesn't have sodium chloride in it, and sodium retains water, then they will upset their fluid balance and their sodium levels will essentially be not enough to counteract the higher rate of potassium that they're receiving from this prime drink. And kids drink they drink stuff they like a lot. I was a kid once. I used to drink Kool-Aid a lot until I learned about Gatorade. Then I kept drinking Gatorade. And then It's just that's how kids work, and because of this influencer era and this the YouTube era, the stream era, whatever you want to call it, if these heroes of theirs say that this stuff is what they tried, whether they're drinking it or not, their kids are gonna drink it. That's their main demographic most of the time, as far as I can tell. That's how they get I think that's how they get a lot of attention, because it's just this that's the main demographic out there, and just the main demographic period, the youth. So my disagreement is that he's using these individual cases of people with compromised immune systems. He is also using people with diabetes, elderly women. He's suggesting that these people are not sweating enough, or sweating as much, or as active as much. And I don't think that's comparable to a thriving young person. When I was young, I used to eat all types of crap. I used to drink soda. I used to drink eat chips. I didn't drink chips. I ate chips. I consumed so much junk food. And heck, I just bought some. I'm probably still at that kid stage because I'm still eating this junk food. So I had this bag of Doritos. They are 2.3/4 of an ounce, so 2.75 ounces. They are 77.9 grams. And the sodium content is 280 milligrams. And that's per serving of 150 calories. So per package it's like a little over 2. It's like 2.5. And that is 770 milligrams. And that's about 33%, I guess, of the bag. So what my challenge, my pushback toward his statements, even though they're valid, you shouldn't give Prime to your elderly grandma that's dying or on dialysis. You shouldn't give Prime to your friend with a compromised immune system. You shouldn't give, especially if they get like this potassium stuff. You shouldn't give it to somebody who has heart problems, because that might help liken their chances of cardiac arrest. From what I'm understanding and hearing from him, is that if your fluids are out of balance and your potassium is too high, and I've heard that having too much potassium in your body is deadly, that can lead you to cardiac arrest. And having too much potassium salt, especially, by mouth, is dangerous. I don't think it's initially dangerous, but if you're not minding your health, it could cause problems. And if you're not minding your the fluid balances in your body, if you don't regularly go to a doctor, you have problems. He mentions in one of his videos that there was a man who, I'm going to mention this, he mentions that it's a black man. And what we understand about black people is that they tend to have high blood pressure. So this man has hypochlorhydria. Now I'm not even saying it right. But because we have problems with high blood pressure, which typically is from high sodium intake, and they say he had problems. He had I think he passed out or something. He had 8 of these coconut water. So I'm just deducing that because Prime has coconut water in it, and it's probably, that's a separate point, because I was gonna say Logan Paul, Jake Paul, I can't tell, one of the Paul brothers said, I'm not gonna drink the other stuff, and my point is that this is tastier. Kool-Aid is tastier too, bro. But the guy is pretty much glorified coconut water. So it's like the guy, because he wasn't getting sodium into his body, but this potassium chloride, he had problems. And this after he had 8 of him. So he had a presumption, I'm assuming, an alleged presumption that he was trying to drink healthier. So he had 8 of these bottles of coconut water, I think. 8 something. 8 liters. 8. No, it wasn't 8 liters. That's a lot. I'll just say 8 bottles of coconut water. And he was sweating. And they say it gives you heart problems like arrhythmia. That's an irregular heartbeat. My media terminology class. Thank you to that. But it makes sense. Apparently, I could be wrong. I'll do a Google search or something to figure out about that. But that's a good point. You shouldn't really be giving this stuff to children in the first place. But back to my main point. Well, I want to go back to the point I mentioned before that I said I was going to put to the side. This Paul brother suggests that I don't like drinking the other stuff because it's salty. Now, as we understand, salt, what is it? It attracts to water. Was it water soluble? Is it water philic? Hydrophilic? It's something about water. It helps you with water, And considering he's associating this drink with the MMA, martial arts, some sort of UFC. I think it's UFC. Are these professional athletes that work at such a high level and they sweat so much at the high level and they're dumping out all this salty sweat, and they